I'm beginning to think that Donald Trump hates the Republicans in the United States Senate more than the Democrats in the United States Senate, or at least that's how he talks about them. That's how he treats them, and that is how he posts about them, because Donald Trump is once again screaming at, attacking, and threatening via Truth Social all of the Republicans in the United States Senate who do not want to pass his SAVE Act, who do not want to build his ballroom, and who do not want to stick around Washington, D.C. any longer for him, and it is an absolute meltdown. Now, there are a couple reasons that Senate Republicans are pushing back against Donald Trump. Chief among them is they don't want to pass his Save America Act, but also because Donald Trump has made their lives so much harder by being such an unpopular president, which is why, before we get to how Donald Trump is now attacking the United States Senate, we got to start with one of the biggest reasons they're unresponsive to him. He's got a bad midterm message. It's bringing them down, and Carolyn Leavitt just made it worse with one of the most outlandish statements I've ever seen from her.
They all got me up to speed pretty quickly, and now we're back out at the podium.
Well, speaking of the midterms, we know the tradition. The party that has the White House typically has an uphill battle for the midterms. And when you look at the top issue among voters right now, it seems to be the cost of living. So what steps have been taken by the White House to really address that? Because that's going to be important as we head towards November.
Yeah. Well, the president and the White House, we fully recognize that. And I would remind your viewers and the American people of who caused the affordability crisis in this country. It was Joe Biden and it was the Democrats in this city when they were in power. And President Trump took immediate action on day one to fix that with his overall economic formula of tax cuts, deregulation, and energy dominance. That's what this administration has been working on every single day for the past year and a half. President Trump and Republicans signed the largest middle-class tax cut in history. Every single Democrat voted against it. President Trump and Republicans created Trump accounts, where children who are signing up today, like my daughter, will have nearly $300,000 worth of savings in these accounts by the time they are 18. That is giving our children the American dream on a silver platter in the touch of an app. And Democrats are opposed to that. How could you be? You know, you look at the price transparency the president is doing in the healthcare space, trying to bring down interest rates, mortgage rates. All of these things that he is doing will only get better if given 2 more years with a Republican Congress.
You mentioned something about healthcare costs, and when you actually...
Are you people not in charge? Republicans constantly infantilize themselves and paint their party that is in charge of everything in Washington as an ongoing victim. And that is so key to the MAGA ideology. You have to be a victim. You have to make it this very grand conspiracy that always someone is out to get you. Always you have to protect yourself. And that is why you are willing to take the most severe action possible to do so. Otherwise, it just looks ridiculous. Which it is, because you are in power. So Carolyn Leavitt sounds like an absolute idiot here, saying that you really have to blame Joe Biden for all of this. You have been in charge, so either your plans don't work and it's all your fault, which is true, or you haven't been effective enough to fix things. That doesn't really make any sense. It's not a winning message, especially on affordability, when Donald Trump has profited more than anyone else in American history off of his position in office. And it's part of the reason that Republicans just hit back against Trump, and that explains the Trump post that we'll get to from this morning. GOP senator tells CNN Congress should probe Donald Trump's latest Wall Street offer. Conflicts of interest, he says. CNN chief congressional correspondent Manu Raju asked several high-profile Republicans in recent days about Donald Trump's social media platform selling quicker access to information on the platform to Wall Street so that traders can make faster trades on his often market-moving posts. Senator John Cornyn, now a lame duck after losing to a Trump-backed primary challenger this year, was a rare Republican raising concern, saying, "I think Donald Trump is unique in that he is obviously a very successful business person. He's a scammer outside of the presidency and his political life. And, I think it does raise some questions about conflicts of interest. But I think there's a process at the White House and certainly oversight by Congress to try to make sure those don't interfere with official responsibilities. Are you confident that there is actually a process that the president is following here? I'm confident there's a process, but what about Congress? Should you guys look into this? Yes, I suspect that we will do that," Cornyn added. So John Cornyn, as we have said a million times on this show, he doesn't have a spine or a conscience. He does have a grievance with Donald Trump. And so that is a fight between Trump and the Senate, all of the people who Trump has cost their seats and might in the future. And so Donald Trump does not see the Senate moving as much as he'd like on his agenda. So now he's going to war with them. Furious Trump melts down over Republicans going back on vacation. Trump is unhappy with the Senate Majority Leader for failing to get his bill through Congress. Donald Trump erupted at Senate Majority Leader John Thune for failing to get his signature bill through Congress as the Senate scrambles to wrap up its priorities before the August recess. Tensions between the two men have been simmering for weeks, but could take an explosive turn as the Senate struggles to move forward with Donald Trump's agenda because it doesn't have the votes. Trump took to Truth Social saying John Thune should not allow the United States Senate to leave town until it passes the Save America Act, or far better still, terminates the filibuster, where Republicans can then quickly pass everything they ever dreamed of, including a full and deep-throated Save America Act, the budget, and the ever-looming debt ceiling disaster, 1929. Trump, who is 80 and really showing it, repeated this claim that Democrats will do it one day, despite that not having happened when Democrats were in power the last 2 years, although Democrats, obviously should. Donald Trump ended his post saying, yes, the Democrats will do it one day, and can't believe how lucky they got with his Senate leadership. Remember, stupidity always brings losing and death. Losing and death, Donald Trump says. The Senate is in this week and next week before heading out for a summer recess through mid-September. The House headed out for 5 weeks of August recess last week and will only return for 1 week at the end of next month before skipping out until after Labor Day. House Republicans recently included provisions of the Save America Act in a larger legislative package before leaving town, but the effort has no path forward in the Senate. Republicans do not have the votes to pass the Save America Act with a simple majority, never mind the necessary 60 votes to pass the legislation without being blocked by the filibuster through regular order. Trump's post on Monday came after he also demanded Senate Republicans terminate the filibuster in an unhinged posting spree over the weekend. Some Senate Republicans are threatening civil war as senators head back to Washington, D.C. on Monday to preside over the president's voting legislation. Senator Mike Lee, who is one of the more reprehensible people out there, said, Leader Thune, I hereby object to any effort to put the Senate into recess in August, at least until such a time as the Senate has passed the Save America Act, and hereby request a roll call vote. Do not assume you have my consent. You do not. So Donald Trump is going to war with the United States Senate, and I just find it so hysterical that this is the place that we are at, that MAGA has completely given up on Trump. They're unwilling to pass his ballroom, protect his slush fund, to pass the Save America Act, because they know that this is all going to be incredibly costly to them, especially when we have actual fighters who are winning primaries and are ready to come to the United States Senate and hold this administration accountable. That is what they are so worried about. But it is not just Republicans who are worried about that as Donald Trump continues to wage his war against them. There are also corporate Democrats who are worried about the Senate takeover that is coming from progressive primary challengers, and they're clearly responding. Rahm Emanuel is now attacking Bernie Sanders, and Bernie Sanders responded perfectly.
There is, as you know, though, concern within Democratic circles that these inter-party primary fights are draining resources and sort of, pulling away from what should be a unified message. Rahm Emanuel wrote in the Wall Street Journal, the Bernie bros could spoil Democrats' midterms. He said the DSA and others are saddling the party with nominees who, as he put it, wildly unpopular positions will protect Republicans from having to pay the price of Donald Trump's corruption. Said it was the socialists who led the charge to defund the police, open borders, abolish prisons. He's saying those are losing messages that are going to hurt the party overall. How do you respond?
That is what Rahm Emanuel is saying, who no doubt has the support of millions of working class people. Look, this is an argument. There's no debate. There is a strong division within the Democratic Party. You have an establishment like Rahm Emanuel, who are dependent on billionaire campaign contributors who want to maintain the status quo. Then you have a progressive movement, which, by the way, what is getting these guys nervous is we are winning all over this country. It's suddenly Mamdani in New York City, it's in New Jersey, it's in Ohio, it's in Colorado. People are sick and tired of the Rahm Emanuels and the Democratic establishment and the Republican establishment, they are asking simple questions, Margaret. Why in God's name are we the only major country on earth not to guarantee health care to all people as a human right? Pretty simple question. Canada does it. Europe does it. Somehow we can't do it. Why do we have an economy in which one man, Mr. Musk, owns more wealth than the bottom half of American society?
Yeah.
Why do the economists tell us that in the richest country in the history of the world, our kids will likely have a lower standard of living than their parents? The American people are tired of a rigged economy, a corrupt campaign finance system. They want real change. They don't want Rahm Emanuel and the establishment maintaining the status quo.
First of all, nobody needs to listen to Rahm Emanuel, okay? This is the guy who said that Democrats lost in 2024 because we were too focused on bathroom issues, not kitchen table issues. And if I recall, Kamala Harris was never talking about the bathroom. I watched that election pretty closely. That didn't happen. Now, it seems that corporate Democrats all the time want to say that progressives are too fixated on cultural and social issues, although it seems that corporate Democrats only ever talk about how we're fixated on those things. We're not actually. It's them. It's actually them who talk about these issues. It is the corporate Democrats who always are invoking kind of this culture war, this identity politics that is not actually the focus of the left, because the focus of the left is working for the real majority in this country, and that's working people, and taking on big money in politics, which is what hopefully soon to be Senator Abdul Al-Sayed is doing. And this is the real reason Rahm Emanuel and the corporate Dems are so scared. It's because the Bernie-backed candidate said this.
When AIPAC drops $30 million on a race, you know why that is?
They want something in return.
There it is. It's a $30 million down payment on a vote to send $3 billion somewhere else. And where does that go? To a foreign government that's done genocide and apartheid, and now is taking us to a war for the goal of annexing southern Lebanon. And here's the thing about it, when you say anything about it, it's like, must be because he hates somebody. I don't hate anybody. Y'all, I love everybody. I just think I want my tax dollars spent here in Michigan to build schools in Michigan, to provide health care in Michigan, to empower folks in Michigan, to fix our damn roads in Michigan, instead of sending them somewhere else to destroy someone else.
If you are in Michigan, you are not only voting for Abdul Al-Sayed, and I hope you are, but you are voting against $80 million in corporate money, $80 million in AIPAC money, right? The Israel lobby is trying to get in because it's a great investment for them. That's why they want to win this seat. That's why they want Haley Stevens. Or they're fine with Mike Rogers. If Haley Stevens wins this primary, all the people who gave her money, they're backing away. They're not going to continue to support her because if Mike Rogers wins, it's a win for Israel. It's a win for corporations. It's the same thing with Haley Stevens. Abdul Al-Sayed is the only real candidate in this race. It's why the corporate establishment is so afraid of him.